Welcome to the Emo Social Club podcast, broadcasting to you live from emosocialclub.tv. I am Brian.
And I'm Lizzie, and we're here this evening with our new friend, Chris from Underoath. Thanks so much for hanging out with us this evening.
Oh, thanks for having me. No, it'll be good. So we got all the TV stuff out of the way. We got all the cancelable takes out of the way.
Oh, so cancelable.
Now we can just have like a real discussion.
I can't believe you said that about children.
I mean, can they all be good? Like, they can't all be good, you know?
There's a couple of dicks in there. Couple of dicks in the mix. Tell us about yourself. I mean, people probably know Underoath. If people follow you, they know that you've been composing for movies recently. But why don't you give us the introduction, you know?
Well, I live in Florida. I grew up in a small town, and I currently live in another small town because I'm a fan of small town life and such. I have been married for, I think this is the 17th year. Got 3 kids. My oldest just turned 13. Got an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old. And I enjoy movies and music and hanging out and talking to people and pets. I'm trying to con one of our friends that lives not far from us as a pig. They just got a pig.
What?
And they're about to move out of state literally in like a week. And the husband doesn't like the pig at all. And the wife's like in love with it. Yeah. I'm second guessing like being friends with them because this pig, it's like a little pig. Oh. And I'm trying to kind of weasel us into, you know, hey, if you can't take the pig with you, you know, maybe come live with us because we got the property and we got the chickens and we got the kids and yeah. So that's about me. Yeah, I like pigs and movies and music and hanging out with friends and family. Yeah, and drinking whiskey.
Now, here's the thing. What are you going to name this pig if you get it?
Ooh, good question.
Oh yeah. So here's the thing. The pig already has a name.
Okay.
Because he is the class pig of their oldest son. Because in the mom's words, the teacher is very extra. And they were reading Charlotte's Web. So she was like, oh, I'm going to get a pig for our class to just hang out with. But the school year's coming to a close, and she's like, what the heck are we going to do with this pig? So they had already named it Wilbur, which is like the most middle-of-the-road name for a pig.
Average.
And I don't know if you can like rename it after it being like a year old. So we'd probably have to keep it Wilbur, which would be a bummer because that would reflect on me.
Yeah.
I like to think I would have a much better name, but yeah.
It's like, because then you don't want to get your own pig because then you want to take care of this pig. But at the same time, that pig already is lame.
Yeah. So here's another thing is I don't like my wife had talked about getting a pig 100 times, but I don't want to have to deal with training a pig. This pig has already been trained. This pig it pees and poops outside. It sits on the couch. It just hangs out. It doesn't tear up the house. And I'm like, oh, I could assume that a responsibility of an already trained pig. I just don't want to be trying to train my own pig because that's ridiculous.
That's silly.
Let someone else do the work. Delegate that responsibility. Take on the responsibility of care after, you know, it needs someone else as a new owner.
Yeah, and I'm just assuming that none of these friends of ours are watching this, or else they're going to know
They're going to know about the secret plan.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody tell them.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Will this also be if you get Wilbur? Will he also be the unofficial Underoath mascot pig?
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, well, I don't know, because Spencer has a Great Dane, a black and white Great Dane named Snoopy, and if there were to be an Underoath mascot, that would probably be it.
Yeah.
Because it's just a much better mascot, very big. Like basically as tall as he is. So yeah, Snoopy would probably win. But I think that mascots should have more sidekicks. So maybe it could be Snoopy because the pig's really small. So if you had this Great Dane with like a sidekick pig, I mean that's a dynamic duo right there. That's an Instagram worthy.
Yeah.
Like if we started an Instagram account for Snoopy and Wilbur, that thing would go through the roof. Just their daily antics.
Yeah.
I need to make a note of this.
Yeah. Write it down. Cause now we got to make a cartoon.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about
some
every time.
super fan, go make a cartoon right now. Tag
every
everyone.
time we have an interview, for some reason we just start brainstorming other content ideas, and it always turns out that we come up with like the greatest ideas on the pod.
Yeah. See, I have all these ideas and I'm always like, oh, I'm going to do this. I did one once because we were on tour and we got on the topic of the drum fill on In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins.
As you do.
I was making this stupid joke about how that's Phil's fill, like that's his fill. And I was like, what if there was like an Instagram account that was just all of the places on the internet where this fill is played. So it's just 4-second video clips of just different people going do 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 do. So I started Phil's Fill on Instagram, and we got a couple hundred followers. But turns out it's a lot to keep up with. I going back to what I was saying earlier, I took on a project and I didn't have the bandwidth for it. So, but if you want to check out Phil's Fill on Instagram, I put a lot of heart and soul into that for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then, and then
there we go.
It's a lot of creative ideas when you're like, I guess I'm sitting on the bus waiting to get to the next place. I might as well create an Instagram profile.
And it became like a group effort too. Like it was, everybody was like, different people were searching YouTube videos, trying to find new, interesting do-do-do-dos. And they would just text them to me and I would have to try to come up with a funny caption. Yeah, it's good times.
So let me ask you about Underoath. And the first question that came to mind was, actually, it was kind of brought up the other night when we were streaming, and a friend of ours from Wisconsin was like, I'm a keyboardist and I'm looking to get into a metal band. How does one become the keyboardist of a hardcore band?
Probably not the way that I did if you actually want to like succeed at it. Because I joined Underoath when I was a sophomore in high school. So I was 16. This was back in 98 or 99. And back then, I mean, obviously the band was just, a high school band and, playing in front of nobody. And it was just, friends of mine that had a band. And our old singer, Dallas, he used to play the keyboard. He decided we wanted to have keyboards because back then we were like, super metal, like really just European influence, like very over the top, just crazy heavy guitar leads and everything. And so he started playing keyboard and I was just kind of always around. And I was talking to him one day and he was like, hey, we're either going to try to find a keyboard player or I'm going to stop playing keyboard because I just kind of don't like standing in the front of the stage, like playing keyboards and screaming because it looks silly.
Sure.
And at the time I was like, well, good luck. I hope you're able to find somebody because I played guitar like kind of back then, but I was not a keyboard player. And then I actually think it was our old guitar player, Corey, who had the idea. They were like, well, Chris is just always around and he plays guitar anyway. Like he could learn how to play a keyboard. And yeah, so they asked me, they're like, hey, do you want to play keyboards in our band? And, back then, I didn't recognize I was really committing to something. It was more so just like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, that'll be fun, but, fast forward, I don't know, 20 something years later, and I'm still doing it. And, yeah, I just kind of fell into it, but I feel like that's just kind of the story with anything that you're doing for a long period of time, whether it's a career in like business or whatever. It's like, well, how'd you get started? It was like, oh, well, I needed this job for the summer. So I interned here. And then 30 years later, here I am. So, yeah, very, very similar thing, but just kids in high school playing music.
Yeah, we were like discussing like these are bands that have and obviously like since that time every band kind of has synth in it and keyboard parts and instruments that are not played by somebody that is on the stage. But back in the day, it was very rare when there was like a keyboard player playing with like heavy bands, and then it felt like it was like kind of a sea change when Underoath did it. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we need it in Bleeding Through. And we have all the weird ones too, like Horse the Band and those kinds of acts.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, I mean, cause for us and for me, like I was just looking at bands that I loved, like mostly like European metal bands, you know, like Symphony X and Nightwish and things like that. That was what we were looking to. We're like, oh, like we want to bring this symphonic element to what it is that we're doing. Like it wasn't really like synth back then. It was like, oh, we want like strings and orchestral elements, and a keyboard is really the only way to do that. And it wasn't until I was in the band for a while and we just, you know, we realized that we didn't want to really have that sound anymore, where I was like, okay, well then what does that mean for my instrument? And I'm like, okay, you know, maybe I can bring in some synthesizer sounds. And it was a lot of trial and error and, you know, some stuff that worked and a lot of stuff that didn't, and just trying to like figure it out. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, any artist really is just trying to do their take off of what art they love by other artists, you know, like any actor, you know, they grew up going to movies and they're like, I want to do that. Like, I want to do what that guy does, but I'm going to do it in my way, you know? And I feel like it's the same if you're, you know, an author or a painter or, you know, a musician. It's just, you know, you're like, hey, I want to do that. And for me, I wanted to be like Nightwish. And then later I wanted to be like, you know, Tom York and Nine Inch Nails. And I'm just trying to not rip off anybody too hard and do my own thing. So
too clearly, too specifically.
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned Nightwish. I literally just saw them a couple weeks ago.
Well,
finally.
who's still in the band?
Well,
isn't it like, because I haven't listened to them since like probably 2001, 2002.
With Dark Passion Play, or like when Annette was still, I mean, there was Annette, then there was Tarja, then Annette, and now they have Floor.
So I think it was before Tarja was in the band, because it was when they did what's that record, Oceanborn. Like that was the big record for me, which I think came out like 98 or 99.
I think that was still Tarja Truin, and then she left, and then it was Annette, because I got into Nightwish when I was in like middle school, and that was Dark Passion Play.
Okay, and that was after I had already kind of jumped ship, but yeah, Oceanborn, whew, that record is...
It's just so good.
Ripped.
Just to see it like live. I can only imagine what it would have been like to see like the original like Tarja Truin live and doing all of it. But it was a time. It was wild.
Yeah, it's funny. I found a bootleg like VHS rip of a show of theirs on the Oceanborn tour in Europe when I was younger. I was like in high school, and I remember, because I just wanted to see what the keyboard player did. I was like, I got to see this guy play, because he just like the orchestral stuff ripped. Like it was just all this fast staccato stuff. And I was like, I want to see this guy just slay live. Right. And there's this one part in this one song where like the entire band stops and it's like this really interesting string part. And I was trying to find them playing that song because I really wanted to see that. And they happened to play that song in the concert that I had got the tape for. And I was like waiting for it. I was like, oh, okay, here it comes. And then once that particular part comes, he like puts his arms out and it's like a track playing all of the cool stuff. And I was like, no, I was like, that was what I wanted to see. Like,
I will tell you, when I saw them, whoever, I don't know, I think it was the same guy, but I have no idea. He was like going ham on it. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, if you're going to be in that band, you have to be a ridiculous musician. Like you can't be a slog and be in that band. I could never be in that band, just so it's said out loud. Like, I am not nearly classically trained enough to hold my own there.
As a keyboardist, though, I mean, Lizzie and I will both agree on this. I'm amazed that you are probably just a couple years older than me, and your back and your neck are still allowing you to do all the stuff you're doing on stage because I'm exhausted.
They are not. I promise. I actually just got because I've been having to go see a doctor for my neck for the past probably like 5 years or so. And they have this thing where it's like this percussion gun that like goes up under my ear, and it's this whole thing. And I haven't gotten an X-ray in probably like 4 years. And I got one when we got off the Voyeurist tour, like I think it was like in March, and got the results back, and my doctor just emailed me and said, "Hey, we're gonna have to talk about this." And I'm literally going in tomorrow for my appointment. So that's good times. We'll see what happens, but rock and roll, right? You know,
he's like, "What do you do for a living?" Music at home, not on a stage. I'm very still.
They know. They're aware. Okay,
they're aware because when I first went to them, because I was having all kinds of problems. Like I had this thing where like I couldn't swallow my food properly. Food was getting stuck, and then like there was like this pop anytime I lifted my hands above my head, and it like hurt really bad. And so I went and got an X-ray, and I'll never forget. The doctor comes into the room after they got the result of the X-ray, and she's going through my charts and everything. And first thing she says is she's like, "So when was your car accident?" And I was like, "Oh no!" Like I was like, "Oh, I wasn't in a car accident." And she's like, "Oh, well, you've got some like pretty serious trauma to your neck." And I'm like, "Yeah, like it's I'm an idiot with my job," and I explained to her what I do, and she's like, "You should probably not do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's like super fun. I like to." Have a good time. And she's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "That's fine. Who am I? I'm just a doctor telling you not to do it. You can do whatever you want." And yeah,
I'm telling you that the amount that you do for your band looks to me like a car accident.
Yeah, it feels like it, but it's fun. I don't know. I like to have a good time. It's fun. It's funny. I read an interview with Emily Haynes. I don't know if you know who she is. She's a singer, songwriter. She sings for that band Metric, but she also and she also has a solo project out, which the solo stuff I'm like in love with. But I read an interview with her because Metric is like very high energy, like electronic pop rock stuff, and like their shows are always super high energy. And it was around the time that her solo project came out, she had an interview where they were asking, well, what is it like to play shows like as a solo artist, just like with the piano? And she said that the biggest change and her favorite thing is that she doesn't have to get like warmed up to play a show. She's like, normally backstage at like Metric shows, I'm like jumping up and down. I have to change into different clothes. I have to like get my body stretched out. I have to do all this stuff. And she's like, when I'm just doing my own stuff, whatever I happen to have on, I just walk out onto the stage with a bottle of water and I sit down and I just play piano and I sing for an hour. And I remember reading that and just being like, what would that be like? Like walking off stage dry? Like that would just be phenomenal. Like, yeah.
But I don't think that we'd be talking about it if that was all you were doing. So I guess it's like,
oh, well, that'll be another project another time. I'll find a way to go play shows one day where I can walk off stage dry. I'll figure it out.
That's the big challenge.
Yes. Well, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, no, literally when we saw you, I was like, Brian, how is this man going so hard on the keyboards right now? Like I was
just like, it's for the culture. It's for the people.
That was a fun show, by the way, the one you guys came to.
Chicago one?
Yeah, that was great. I had a really good time there. I mean, Chicago's always good. I don't think we've ever had a bad show there. We did a record release show for our last, not this record that's out now, but our last one.
Subterranean. Yes. I was there, and you were still going hard, but it's a much smaller space.
It's much harder to go hard on that.
It was very small. Like we were on. I still remember we were on stage sound checking for that show, like before doors were open, and we were just looking around, like man, like, how is this going to work? And, you know, cause we hadn't played a stage that small and so long. It's just, you know, you got to be careful, but it was fun. We had a good time.
The show was incredible. And here's my story about it. I left work early and I'm like, you guys can fire me. I don't care. I left work early, got in line, and I was
you still work there?
No, but not because of that. All right. I just started a new job, so everything's fine.
That was like, they fired me for a completely unrelated reason.
Completely unrelated reason.
Completely different.
They fired me because I quit. No, so I was waiting outside in the cold all day, you know, just ready for this line to go through, and they let me into the place where they were handing out the passes, and then they're like, man, so we're all out. And I was like, I'm literally the last person and you're not going to give me anything. He's like, I thought we had one more, but like, I don't know where it is. He's like, look, I have this extra VIP necklace. You can have it to go to the show. Just don't go into VIP. And I'm like, I'm going to go into VIP. I didn't, but I was like, I don't want to. I just want to see the show. You know, like this is very exciting for me. So I was very lucky.
Correctly, that was a short show, right? Like we didn't play a long set.
Yeah, I had seen it online that day, I think, or whenever it was announced. Like this is how it's going to work. And then, yeah, it was like a label showcase. I think they were saying, like, when we were there, it was like, oh, there's like people from record labels upstairs and they're only going to play like a short amount of songs. But I was like, I don't care. This is going to be the most excellent Underoath show of all time for me. So
I hope you enjoyed. We had a good time.
I had a blast. The awesome. Writing on the walls moment, I'm just like, okay, all right, this is too intense. Everybody's just hands in the air. It's violent. Awesome. It's such a good time.
Love it. Freaking A.
Well, besides that, obviously we have you also doing all this kind of like composition too on the side, which I feel a lot of people are like not super aware of. I mean, you had 2 films that were for Tribeca Film Festival. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of wild and crazy and great.
Me too. Yeah. It's weird. Yeah. Yeah. That whole thing is wild to me. Cause like, I mean, the fact that I'm able to compose music for film at all, like the fact that I have a film completed, whether or not it's released or, you know, in a festival or anything, like just the fact that somebody was like, hey, I have a movie and I want you to score it. Like for me, that's like mind blowing. Cause I, you know, writing music for film has been something I've wanted to do for so long. And the fact that it is like shaping up to potentially be like my long-term career is like crazy, you know, like I'm just super thankful. Like it's a lot of work. Like it's stressful. And, you know, I feel like I'm pushed to my creative limits basically every day. But, you know, being able to sit in a movie theater and watch something that I have, written the music for is like just it's crazy. And you know, and through doing this, I've, you know, met a lot of people that, you know, I never thought I would have been able to meet, and I have you know, gone places I didn't think I'd ever be able to go. And it's it's crazy. I'm just super thankful and just trying not to screw the whole thing up, basically. that's kind of where I'm at now.
I mean, explaining the story as like, yeah, I was just the guy who was going to learn to play keyboards because I liked all these bands, and now you're like scoring for film. It's kind of that, you know, like, oh, I was just thrown into this role, but now I'm like making it this bigger career move sort of thing. It's kind of just that funny how life turns out, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, me getting into this was equally as wonky. I feel like, you know, because I was talking about this the other day, but, you know, cause I've talked about wanting to write music for film for so long. And, one day I was talking to my wife about it, and she was just like, well, why don't you just do it. And I named off all these reasons why not, not having the skill set, not really knowing what I was doing, not having connections, all this stuff. And she's like, well, why don't you just say that you're doing it and then see if something comes of it? So that's basically what I did. I had posted something online saying that I was opening up my studio for writing projects. So if anybody had like a record or a video game or a movie, to get in touch with me and, maybe we could work together. That was all just to try to hopefully find somebody who had a movie they were working on that they would let me write music for. And that was just kind of how it started, and it's just snowballed from there. And it's I don't know. Like I don't feel like I have it figured out at all. And I feel like I'm still just not faking it, but I'm still just like trying to like do the best job possible to where like people, when they listen to what I'm doing, they'll like it. And I don't know. It's odd. Like I feel like I should have a lot more figured out by this point, considering how long I've been doing this and how much I'm doing, but I still just feel like every day when I sit down, I mean, because this is where I do everything basically. When I sit down in this seat, I'm just like, all right, hopefully something comes to me today. Hopefully it doesn't suck today. We'll see. So, yeah.
I can never tell if you're going to say something, Lizzie. I'm so sorry. I guess it's this interesting thing about like, growing up listening to Underoath. If I were somebody who was making a movie, I might be the type of person to be like, who do I want to make music for this? It's like, well, why not go to like the bands that I grew up loving and the bands that like are making music that resonates with me to then do the music for a movie. Like I imagine, I mean, it's probably not how Trent Reznor got into it, but maybe there was somebody who was like,
that's 100% how he got into it.
Yeah. It's like,
for sure. Yeah.
Oh, hey, I really like 9 Inch Nails. Do you want to do the music for The Social Network? And it's like, yeah, all right, let's go.
And that's exactly how it happened for him. And that's exactly how it happened for me. Like the first feature that I did, the director had caught wind that I was open to working on different projects, and he grew up listening to our band, and he was just like, oh, would you want to score this movie? And I was just like, I acted as if I knew what I was doing. I was like, of course, like let's go. And then I'm on the internet like, how do I do this? Like, what's the process? And
Googling, how do I score a movie?
How do you score movies?
What is the wiki how of how to score a movie?
Oh man, I wish there was such a thing. That would have been a big help years ago. But no, that honestly, that's how it happened. And I have no. I know for a fact that me being in the band is the only reason why not the only reason, but most of the reason why I've been able to do all the films that I've done, because it was and is like a slingshot, I'm not just a guy writing music somewhere that wants to write music for movies. It's like, I recognize that, there are connections that I had and people that I know that were able to help, but I'm thankful for all of that, because, there's a lot of people who are a lot more talented than me that do this, that haven't had quite the opportunities that I do. But, I feel like that's the same way with like bands too. Like Underoath would tour with the bands all the time, and we still do, that are like smaller than us, but we're like, yo, you guys are like we would talk amongst ourselves about how much better than us they are. We're like, why are they opening for us? Like, we should be opening for them, and, but I think just being cognizant of that is, it's important. So,
yeah, the art is always, the art is always going to mean probably something else to somebody else that has some different feeling towards it and wants you to, I don't know. I guess it's like working with you, but also it's like you know, there are so many people that grow up with all this music that just want to be able to do it. And it's like, I don't care if you're like, not to say, I don't care if you're good or not. It's like, I just want you to be the one to do it. You know, like there are so many people that have done like soundtracks to movies, and you're like, that wasn't terribly great, but I'm glad you did it, you know, like,
yeah, it's funny because I was listening to this podcast. I'm a nerd. I listen to like film score podcasts and all this stuff. And they were talking about how it's not necessarily like every composer is not going to have every skill set. And they were specifically mentioning Trent Reznor. And they were like, Trent Reznor could not write a score like John Williams. Like, he just does not have that ability to do the things that John Williams does. Like, but does that mean that any of the scores that him and Atticus do are any less good than a John Williams score? It's like, do those scores make you feel any less than a John Williams score? No, not at all. It's just different skill sets, different vibes. And like, there was this band called MMMD who did a score for it's a horror movie I saw. It may have been Sador or something like that. Anyway, I had heard the score, and I went and looked up who did it, and it was like this band. It was like a 2-piece that did the score, and I listened to their stuff, and it's all just like drone. Like, it's like no really technicality. It's just all vibe. And I thought about that with them too. I'm like, you know, if you wanted them to write a intricate classical like piano thing, could they do that? Maybe not. But does that make what I saw and what I heard in that film any less impactful? You know, no, not at all. And, you know, I think that is kind of similar to any sort of artist where, you know, you look at somebody like Johnny Cash and you say, well, can Johnny Cash hit the notes that, you know, Freddie Mercury can hit? And it's like, well, no, but that's not what Johnny Cash does. Like, that doesn't make Johnny Cash any less good. He just does something different. So, yeah, so I try to keep that in mind when I recognize how much talent other people have that I don't have. I just chalk it up to, that's not my vibe.
Yeah, it's different vibes.
Yeah. It's like that meme, like, oh, in theory, Kesha could do like Yellow Submarine by the Beatles, but the Beatles could never do Die Young by Kesha type of thing. And it's just like, well, not everybody is going to have that versatility like that, but it's like they were good for what they were good in.
Yes, and I think that's an important thing to be okay with as an artist too. You know, recognizing like, hey, get better as much as you can, learn as much as you can, but don't kick yourself if you're not able to, like, you know, do arpeggio guitar sweeps like the guy from Dragon Force. If that maybe that's just not what you do. Like, maybe that's not where your strong suits are. You know, so. Yeah, and I think our band is a good example of that. You know, there's a million bands that could play us under the table at our instruments, except for maybe Aaron, because Aaron's a ridiculous drummer. But the rest of us are just, you know, we have our thing that we do, and we do it to the best of our ability, and it works. But, you know, hopefully a takeaway from that is, hey, you can do well at what you do, and you don't have to do what everybody else does. So, yeah.
Yeah. You made me think of something too, of like, I guess with a movie, you're writing the score for it, and that movie is put out and it lives forever, kind of in the same way that an album does, where you're creating an album, you're in the studio making all the songs, and you put it out, and that's it forever. Right. So like whatever you're contributing to the album or contributing to the movie, that's going to be it for the rest of time. Right. Until they reboot it. Which you can't reboot a band really, I guess. I mean, you can re-record it, but all right.
Do you know anything about Menudo?
I know about Menudo, but I wasn't thinking about them when I was crafting this theory in my head.
Brian.
I don't pretend like I didn't say that. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't talk about Menudo. I haven't seen Encanto, so I don't have reference on that song. I'm just like,
wow.
I get the meme. I don't get the reference. Yeah, like I wonder if that feeling of like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to create the best art I can, and the art just is what it is. It kind of is part of that. Like, I think you have to iterate and learn and grow and make things in order to learn what you want to do for the next thing. And so every record will change because you now know everything you learned through the process of making that record. So you're making your next record and you're taking all that information, you're learning more. And now you're doing that also with like movie scores and learning from people who have done that process, like Trent going from being a musician into composing music for movies, and all the stuff that he's learned over his process too. And it's like that pressure of the art being out there and never being able to change, but also understanding like, I'm going to get better at it and I'm going to make new stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think that being able to let go is a big part of that. Like, you know, being able to complete an album, put it out and just say, okay, that record is now what it is. You know, now I can move on. Cause you know, there's, you know, a million projects out there from a million different artists that, you know, they don't feel like it's quite right. So they just don't release it. And I feel like being in a band, like ours, where we don't really have an option to just, I mean, I guess we could just not release music if we wanted to, but like we like to regularly release music, you know, so having a sort of deadline that we place on ourselves is nice, because then it's, you know, it kind of forces us to like say, okay, like this is going to come out, you know, and similarly with a film, you know, I'm on 2 different deadlines for 2 different films, and you know, by the end of this month, early next month, they're both going to be done. Like they have to be done. So it's forcing me to not have the option to like tinker and, you know, try to make it 1% better. It's like, well, I have to just put it out there. And I think that that's good in general for any sort of artist to have, you know, time limits, to have money limits, to have, you know, whatever limit is being imposed on them, whether it's by themselves or by someone else, because then that makes stuff happen and that makes stuff come out. And, you know, arguably that makes stuff better, you know, because they're, you know, directors out there that, you know, they make their first thing with like no dollars and, you know, no time, and it's like amazing, but then you give them $100 million and the sky's the limit, and then the thing just ends up being weird. And you know, I think similarly with bands, it can be that way as well. You know, if you know, they release a demo and it's like great, but then it's like, then they have, you know, however long to make their next record, and they just, you know, tinker, and it just ends up not having like that magic that their early stuff did. I don't know. I mean, you could kind of pontificate on that for days, but who knows? I mean, I feel like all artists are just trying to make something dope at the end of the day. They're just trying to make something that people listen to or watch and like, oh, that's cool. Like, I like that, you know? So yeah, that's all it comes down to, really.
Now, you mentioned earlier going into like this whole artist thing, and those who are just kind of like killing it in the game right now. Who are some of them that you feel that you should be opening for, that you have either listened to or seen or have toured with?
Oh gosh, so many bands. I mean, there are bands that I, you know, in a perfect world, I would like to play with, but I know, you know, that how the business works, and it's just, that just won't happen. Like I love, I'm really listening to a lot of Flume lately. I think that newest Flume record's great. The newest horror record, I think, is probably, that might be my favorite record of the year at this point. And like, I would love to see that band just get so big that you know, we would be able to open for them. Like that would be amazing. Ethel Cain. I really, really like Ethel Cain. You know, that's not an artist that we would ever, tour with, I don't think, just because the styles are so different. You know, I wish that wasn't the case. I would love to just tour with all different kinds of artists, but you know, just with the way that the business works, that's not really how it tends to happen. I actually just pulled up my my Apple Music to see what I added recently. The Smile is amazing, but we would open for the Smile because it's basically Radiohead. Not that we would ever get to go on tour with Smile, but yeah, if you haven't heard that record from the Smile, it's freaking, yeah, it's amazing.
When we went to the Chicago show, we were very excited to see Spirit Box because we're like, this just makes a lot of sense as a lineup. Very bummed that COVID took that experience away from us, and still haven't seen Spirit Box, but like I do feel like that sort of like metal show aspect of it, like that is it's an interesting thing to have, like just that like metal show and metal bands on a gig and having like that community. And I guess in my mind, there are so many festivals that have just all kinds of stuff. And you guys just played So What, which was very much exactly that.
So What is the perfect example of what I think every tour should be. Like I would love for us to be able to go out on the road and have like some just, you know, rip your heart out singer songwriter open, have some like weird electrical, electronic artist be on it, you know, maybe have another heavy band, maybe have a straightforward rock band or something. And then have us play, like have just a diverse lineup of bands. You know, we try to do that as much as possible, but we're not really able to swing super far one way or the other, just because of the way that everything works. But, you know, I think that So What had a great lineup, and, you know, there were such awesome hip hop artists, electronic artists, soft artists, heavy artists. Like it was just a whole interesting group of artists put together, and I think it ruled personally. Like we had to play during 2 Chainz, which I was not super stoked on because I wanted to see 2 Chainz, but but it was it was rad. But it was also cool though, because like we were both playing at the end of the night and both of our stages were just like slammed. So I think because that lineup is so diverse, it's not like, oh, like everybody's going to see one or the other. It's like, you know, you kind of have a split down the middle of people who would rather see Underoath at the end of the night or go see 2 Chainz at the end of the night. And I would be on the 2 Chainz end of that, just so we're clear. But
I mean,
it was dope. I loved it.
I love your band, but I think I'd go see 2 Chainz just because I've seen you guys a few times. It's like, I'm going to go check out.
It's like, when have you ever seen 2 Chainz? Never.
I can't imagine. I don't know when it's going to come up next. So, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. How is there anything that we can do to help facilitate an Underoath and 100 gecs tour?
God, please.
Literally the only thing I could think of is if something like that did happen to come up, just buying a ticket. Like I feel like if there were a tour like that, you know, because we had talked about trying to tour with Ghostman at some point because, you know, he did a feature on our record and we just thought that would be an interesting tour. But there's a lot of, you know, people in the industry that are like, oh, well, that's not really, you know, that tour, you know, that lineup doesn't make a whole lot of sense or whatever. But I feel like if there were a tour like that, where it was like a super diverse lineup of whatever singer, songwriter, hip hop, heavy, rock, and it like just blew out and just a ton of people went to go see it, then other agents, managers, whatever would look at it and be like, oh, like people do want to see this, you know? But, you know, those are decisions that are made by people who are not me. But yeah, I don't know. But what I'm thankful for is back in like 2016, we did a tour and we announced the tour and it was it was just doing insanely well before we even announced any support. So we decided that we wanted to just have a 2-band bill. So it was us and a band called Caspian, and Caspian like doesn't really, I mean, they don't really sound like us at all, but they're just an amazing band. And we got to just like, our agent was just like, who do you want to bring out? Like, you can literally bring anybody, because we don't need any assistance in selling tickets. Like, it's just, who do you want to bring? And it was, so we chose them because we loved them. And, you know, if that were the case, like if we were just like Taylor Swift big and we could just bring just literally anybody we wanted, our lineups would look wacky, because we would all probably we would just choose one band each, like just whoever you want. We'll just bring them on. So
it's like rotational. It's like, oh, you pick this tour, you pick the next set. We all get to have some fun.
Yes, and that's like the My Chemical Romance tour that they're doing.
Yeah.
That is the dream right there, because like they could go out with no openers and it would just crush wherever. And when you look at that lineup of openers that they have on there, that's literally the band just going, man, who would be really cool to open up for us? Like, who would I love to sit and watch? And that's all that is. And you know, it's their friends, it's you know, just bands that they happen to love, and that's the dream. That would be so
madness.
Yeah. But hey, you know, I'm literally not complaining, because we get to tour with dope bands. It's just I mean, that Spirit Box tour, a lot of fun.
Really just got to bring back the diverse genre bills like you had when you were in like high school. Everyone's like, what's going on here? And then you come in,
say
you're
that
like,
all the time. Yes, I say that all the time. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir here.
I'm surprised Ghostmain wouldn't make sense, because I found out like kind of like a couple years afterwards, a buddy of mine who's in the band Harm's Way, they toured with Ghostmain, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's like way too heavy for playing with Ghostmain. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I kind of get it. Yeah. But there's going to be like these younger kids in the audience who are into like the new sounds that like may not even realize that, oh yeah, I like Underoath. I've heard Underoath before. I've heard these bands. And I'm like, I don't see them doing that with Harm's Way and dude just like being a fucking thwomp of a man. Just like, dude, he's a thwomp. He's a very large guy.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone from that band, but I really like that band. They've got some rippers. I'm a fan.
Well, he's a big boy. So if you ever check him out, you're gonna be like, oh wow, oh okay.
Maybe me and that guy can start a 2-piece, just like just the big guys in the band's just taking over.
Yeah.
I want to also get a little nostalgic with you about you know, where the band has come from and how the band like kind of has the legacy it has, you know, like growing up and reinventing your exit and It's Dangerous Business were like 2 songs I listened to pretty much every night going to bed. That was a weird like time in my life where I'm just like, they're only chasing songs. Safety is you know, how I fall asleep. And then it would go into like Slipknot's Subliminal Verses, and I'm like, man, college is a weird time. But like how do you feel about like coming from that scene, coming from the emo scene and the Warped Tour crowd, and like how it's having this kind of resurgence now, and obviously people are learning of the band and all the old songs and hearing the new stuff too. And how do you feel about all of that happening?
It's cool, I guess. I don't know. It's I guess the most accurate thing I could say is that we kind of don't really think about it. Like, cause for us, you know, we're always writing, we're always trying to work on new stuff. And, you know, we're touring a lot, not as much as we used to, you know, by choice, but, you know, I think it's mostly when we talk to other people, like, you know, something like this, or, you know, talking to people at shows where, you know, they'll talk to us about what a certain song or a certain record meant to them at a certain time. And that is where we kind of are the times when we take a step back and say like, oh, like, you know, this thing that we do has meant something to people for a long time, you know, and that's super interesting and super awesome. But, you know, but as far as, you know, having like a resurgence or whatever, I kind of look at it as like, well, we've been doing this. We haven't, I mean, we broke up, you know, for a few years. We were gone for a while, but, you know, aside from that, it's just like, well, we're still just doing the thing that we've always done. So, you know, and, you know, the last tour that we did is the biggest headliner we've ever done. You know, maybe that has something to do with this resurgence, if you want to call it that. But, it's just been, yeah, it's cool. I mean, the way that I look at it is if anybody is listening to us and digging what we're doing, whether it's new stuff or old stuff, then bring it. I mean, yeah, we just like going out and playing music with our friends and having people come and watch us. So, you know, people get to do that for over 2 decades, then that's wild, you know, thankful.
As we've asked a few of the dads who have reunited their bands and have kids who are, I mean, yours are a little older than the guys in Midtown and the guys in Juliana Theory that we've talked to. But do your kids think that your music is cool? And do they think that it's cool that dad's in a band?
No, they don't think our music is cool. There are times when they think that it's cool that I'm in a band or in Underoath, but it's mostly when like you know, other people will like they'll come up and like talk to me like out in public or something, or you know, their friend's dad, you know, will find out that I'm in Underoath and like they'll be talking to our kid, like my daughter, about it, or like, you know, my daughter's dance teacher, my daughter found out is like a big Underoath fan. And so those are the times when they're like, oh, like, yeah, my dad. But any other time, it's just they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't like music really with screaming in it at all. You know, they probably think that the film stuff I'm doing is a little cooler, even though they really haven't been able to watch any films that I've scored yet because they're all pretty PG-13/R
not
films,
safe for
but
children.
Sure.
Oh, not kids movies at all. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, it's cool to see, like, you know, because particularly me and Aaron and James and Tim, we've all had kids for, you know, right around the same amount of time. Like my oldest is the oldest of the Underoath kids, but it's been cool to see the kids grow up together and have it be where we are just, you know, the dads at the barbecues. Like, oh yeah, you know, Mr. Tim and Mr. James and, you know, Mr. Grant, like those are the dads at the birthday parties and stuff. But then like, it always seems like when they come to it, they'll all come to a show probably like once every year or two. Like if we happen to have a big Florida headlining show, they'll come out and you can see that they're kind of like remembering. It's like, oh, like these dads also like do this cool thing, you know? Mm-hmm. But for them, it's just, you know, it's their dad and their friend's dad get together and play music. And, yeah, it's, I don't know. It's cool. I think maybe they'll think it's cooler later. Like when they're like, you know, not 10 to 13, like maybe when they're like late teens, early 20s, they'll be able to, you know, kind of look back on, you know, what it is done. And they might think it's a little cooler, but for now we're just, you know, everybody thinks their dad's lame when they're 13.
See, that's the thing. It's like you're playing these headline shows. You're in front of like thousands of people and your kids are like, Dad, I don't care. Like,
no, see, that's the thing is like, at the show, they think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're walking around like they own the place, you know, walking backstage and just like flashing the pass and everything.
I'm the VIP.
100%. But then literally get in the car to go home, and it's just like, Dad, you stink. You know, it's like, are we stopping at McDonald's? You know,
There's like, where's my chicken nuggies?
yeah. It's that turns off as soon as we leave the show. So good times though.
It's got to be humbling to go from like all those days of like, I just remember like, and I don't think Underoath ever gave me this vibe, but like on Warped Tour, there were all the bands that were like just starting to blow up and like kind of cocky and kind of just like, yeah, I'm like really a badass dude. And like, I'm in this cool band and everybody likes me. And then it's like, everybody's talking about their kids now. And it's just like, yeah, kids don't care about their dad doing this. And I'm like, that's humbling and awesome, I think.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about never having really been cool is you never have to have that humbling moment of like, oh yeah, because I could just be like, yeah, I was like, look at me at any point. I've never been cool, so I don't have to humble myself. I just have to say I'm the same dude I was in a lot of ways 20 years ago. So yeah.
Well, we probably have a little bit longer to talk. We got like 5 minutes left in the recording part of this, and then I think we'll hang out on Twitch for a little bit. I don't know if you have anything to plug, but I'd love to tell people where they could find you and where you're at on the internet and where they can, I guess, if they're of the 13 or R-rated movies, where they can watch your films, all those sorts of things.
Yeah. So I am on, mostly I'm on Instagram and Twitter. I am Chris Underoath at Chris Underoath on both of those. I'm super easy to reach. One of the main reasons I like social media is just because I get to just talk casually to like whoever, like, you know, the fact that, you know, somebody can just send me a message and say like, hey, like what plugin did you use for this sound? I think it's cool. And I could just shoot a quick answer back. Like that's the sort of stuff where if I had that when I was like 14, it would have like blew my mind. Like being able to just message like the guitar player of my favorite band. You'd be like, hey, you know, what kind of strings do you use? You know, that sort of stuff. Yeah. So I'm on Instagram and Twitter, easily reached. As far as stuff to plug, I've got a film I scored that's out now called Whelm. WHELM, which I'm super proud of. I have another a horror movie, like super fun Halloween horror movie called Bad Candy. That's also out. And I don't know when this is releasing, but if you're in the New York area, I have another film that is going to be in Tribeca Film Festival this year called Peace in the Valley that I scored. And I think there might still be tickets for that. You can buy like single day tickets. So there's 3 screenings the week of the 12th. So if you look online for that, it's called Peace in the Valley. If you want to come and critique my music to my face, that is the place to do it because I'll be there. Yeah, the new Underoath record came out in January, called Voyeurist, which I'm crazy proud of. I love it so much. Yeah, I've got a couple more movies coming out this year that I'll be super vocal about on all my socials and all that good jazz. So yeah, and then working on Underoath stuff as always.
Can we expect more Underoath next year?
I would hope that you could expect more Underoath this year. That's my goal. Like a little behind baseball stuff is we are, I think technically as of this month, because we have the Voyeurist was our last album on our previous recording contract. So we're not signed to a label right now, which means that if we wrote a song tomorrow and we wanted to release it just for fun, we could. And we've been throwing around the idea of just like doing an experimental EP and just putting it out, like not having a big release plan or anything, just writing, 3 songs and putting them out. So I'm hoping that we'll have new music out this year. So yeah,
that'd be sick. Got to do it.
I think so too. Yeah. I'm a big fan of EPs, and if we could just regularly release EP, I would not be upset about that.
One of one of the bands that has really impressed us over the past couple of years, I guess, Lizzie and I, is Bring Me the Horizon, and how they've just released like
EPs.
kind of whatever they want, like just EPs full of all different types of music. And they put out that like weird EP called like Music to, and then like a bunch of different words. And it was just a real chaotic mess, but it's like, you just clearly wanted to do something, and you just wanted to explore and experiment and not have a lot of fanfare about it, but just like be musicians, you know? And I think that in a lot of ways, musicians now are just like, I can do all of this at home. I can do all of this for myself. I can put it out whenever I'm ready. And I think that's, I think that freedom is the beautiful thing about it.
It is beautiful. And, you know, one of the things I love about regularly putting out smaller chunks of music is, you know, I point back to Nine Inch Nails, because they put, you know, they put out a series of EP semi recently. And one of them in particular, I didn't like at all. This one called the Bad Witch EP. Nine Inch Nails is one of my favorite bands of all time. Like, I basically just want to be in that band. Like, they are it for me. And when they released that EP, I listened to it and I was just like, yep, this isn't for me. And I don't like it. And I can't wait to hear what they do next. But in the world of like albums, like if a band like Nine Inch Nails puts out an entire album that for you is a miss, where you're just like, oh, that's not good. It's not a discussion of like, man, I can't wait to see what they do next. It's a discussion of what happened to Nine Inch Nails. Like,
it's like,
they used to be good,
you
know, like, or whatever. Whereas that's not the case if you're just like putting out. And I feel like that also opens you up to be able to experiment more, because you can just say, hey, like, this is the thing we're doing. We think it's cool. You know, if you don't like it, cool. You know, I mean, that's kind of how we approach every album in general. But the idea of being able to take bigger swings creatively and just like, and to be able to say with confidence, like, if you don't like this, we're going to be putting another album out, another EP in like 6 months, 8 months. So just, you know, we haven't changed or done anything. We're just like doing new stuff. So yeah, who knows if we'll, you know, be able to do that regularly. But, you know, as of now, we're not on a label, which, you know, is pretty dope. So I'm hoping that we're able to take advantage of that to fullest.
Nobody's telling you to make 8 TikToks a day.
yeah.
Oh no, nobody did anyway. We're
okay. So you got away with that.
Oh yeah, no, we're not good at any of that stuff. Yeah,
we need 6 adult men to make TikToks all day long.
Yeah. No, what's funny is I made one not long ago. Well, I guess it was probably like 6 months ago, because I just had an idea. I was like, oh, this would be an interesting thing, because basically, like, we our drum tech sent us a video that he had taken on stage at a show that we were playing, and on stage for us, it just sounds like complete garbage, because we don't have any monitors on stage. We use in-ears. So all you can hear is like cymbals and like snare. It just, there's no music on stage.
Yeah.
And I was thinking when I was watching it, I was like, people probably think that if you're standing on stage, it sounds just like great. So I posted this TikTok where I got the audio that was actually from the camera, but then I overlaid in the beginning of the video the audio from our live observatory record, where it's like, well, what you think it's going to sound like, and then what it actually sounds like. And yeah, I like that. I thought that's fun,
a good that's a good
yeah,
bit.
that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
so I'm basically an influencer now.
Basically.
Yeah, just rack up the views.
Yeah.
Just racking them up, man.
Content, baby.
Well, we are going to continue to hang out over on Twitch. So if you aren't there, you missed out. You know, you could have asked a bunch of questions, could have had anything you wanted, but now you get nothing and you like it. You blew it. And I guess if you want to ask Chris any questions, I guess you just have to find him on the internet and
just DM him.
DM him, I guess.
Maybe duet his TikTok.
Ooh, yeah, duet the TikTok to get to Chris.
Yeah, it's Underoath's TikTok, so I don't even know if that's possible. Yeah, give it a shot. I don't know.
Give it a shot. Try it out. But yeah, we'll go and hang out with our friends over there. But Chris, I'd heard that you were one of the nicest guys in the music industry, and this was a lot of fun.
That's what I tell people to say.
Perfect.
Oh,
We're
okay.
going to continue to say it.
If you could carry on that tradition, that would be great.
Yep. We'll tell everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, everyone.
That's my only stipulation.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, dude.